We are live, or should be about to be live. I'm just going to share that around, and then we'll get
Yeah, it
started.
says live
So
now.
you two can chat amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I try to forget about the 2001 season because I'm a Mariners fan, and then 9/11 like killed our rhythm there. So
Yeah. Yeah, I had good hopes for Seattle that year.
they decided to go for the record, and if they hadn't gone for the record and actually rested their players, we probably would have been a little bit better. But they were like, well, let's go for the all-time win record, and you could see it the last couple of games. It was just like, oh, I know we really want to win, but got to think of the long-term implications, and it was just a fun year. I mean, that was my first year back in Seattle after college, and so I was like all in for every Mariner game I could see.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's talk about the year to come back.
Yeah, All-Star game and all that there. So I volunteered for the All-Star game. It turns out it wasn't the All-Star game I was actually volunteering for. I was volunteering for the exhibition center where they had everything.
Right.
But it was cool as well because I ended up winning a box of Tops that year and each year a rookie card. So I was like,
oh man,
can't look at that now. My brother's got it. I'm still waiting for him to ship it. I think I have to see if it's still in mint condition or not.
That's right. I mean, that was such an awesome year for him, right? Rookie of the year.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I mean, it really was that Terrence Long throw that kind of really brought him to the spotlight and was just like, oh man, he's going to be really good.
Turned out he was better than that.
What's that, John?
It turned out he was better than that. He was better than really good.
For
a long time.
Yeah, we've seen everyone's based in Southern California. I think you're like the fourth Angels fan we've interviewed so far.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Who else did you interview other than Robbie?
Oh gosh, Robbie was Jose Sea, the baseball artist.
Okay.
He's a big Angels fan, and God, there was
great chat with that guy. He was a great chat.
Somebody else was another Angel fan. Who was it? Robbie was cool. I really enjoyed Robbie. That was kind of
Okay. He was the first one last Monday, wasn't he?
He was the first one. I'm going to go through my notes. Maybe it was just 3, but yeah. So if we ever make it down to Southern Cal, we'll get everyone together for a beer and an Angels game.
Okay, sounds good.
But I asked them the same question. I'll ask you. So how do you feel about wasting Mike Trout's most valuable years?
Oh man, it's like, if I could control it, I would, but it's kind of painful. I mean, we just, as Angels fans, we just want to win, and it just happens that we have, if I can say, we have the best player in baseball, and so, yeah, you want to see what he can do in the playoffs, even though he did have a chance early on, but yeah, we were getting really good at the end of this season. If it went on, the young players are starting to develop. We just don't have the pitching. So it's kind of the story for every team, right? Everybody's looking for pitching, and there's not enough to go around. So.
I mean, that was a tough one. I mean, I was surprised you guys didn't go after any pitching in the off season and go, well, that was clearly the biggest weakness you have. And they seem to, spend their money on guys that like, well, maybe he's got, lightning in the bottle and he'll do all right for a season. But at some point you guys got to go for it and really, say we're all in, we're trying to win. And
yeah. But I don't know if it's, I don't know if they didn't try to get pitching. I think they did. It's just like, just the Yankees just outbid everyone with Cole. I mean, I'm sure there are some obscene numbers put up by the Dodgers and the Angels, but it's just at the end of the day, you're probably going to get outbid by New York, and it's not because you didn't want to put down some money, but and then Cole didn't really have that great a year.
John's taking this well. He's sitting there.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know. Maybe they just need to grow it from within.
I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, like as a Mariner fan, like we had King Felix, and that's about it. Everything else has been by a trade. Like Randy Johnson was amazing, but we got him from the Expos and the Mark Langston trade. So you're talking about Mark Langston to King Felix. We've had 2 kind of dominant pitchers in a long time.
Yeah, and you could I mean I'd follow them as much as almost the Angels, and because I'm trying to see the competition, and they've always been kind of putting a patchwork of pitching together and hoping that these young guys like Paxton or even Walker would come around, but some of those guys never did.
No, it's a
Yeah.
tough one. This is a tough one. Okay.
We're good to go, guys.
All right, John,
Okay.
why don't you lead us off here?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new week of Negro League Museum Art Fundraiser interviews. We took a well-deserved, I think, and much-needed night off last night to recharge and refresh, and we're back tonight with not one or two, but 3 artist interviews coming right through until about 1 a.m. We'll be with you, so thanks to those of you joining us. I am John McKellar, one half of Ball Caps and Bagpipes and a Glasgow Comet baseball player in the Baseball Scotland National League.
And I'm Jason Durr, also known as Bubba on Baseball and the owner of Dugout Classics.
And of course, former Baseball Scotland president and current and always Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer, one of the first, and I think the first player ever to be inducted into our hallowed hall.
Yes, I am. Yeah, there's only 2 of us there, so we're
Yeah,
it's not a very big hall.
yeah. Your club isn't accepting submissions until everything gets back to normal, I guess. We are joined for the first interview tonight by Jumbotron Sports Peter Chen.
Jumbotron Art.
Yeah.
Jumbotron Art. Excuse me, Peter. Hello and welcome.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you guys, and yeah, I'm ready to talk baseball.
Thanks so much for joining us. And I usually like to start off the interviews with artists by asking a baseball-related question. Imagine that, which is always the same. What is your baseball background growing up? Obviously, you're an Anaheim Angels fan. What did you play the game growing up? If so, to what level and what positions did you specialize in?
Yeah, so I mean, I actually only played 1 year of Little League, and it was crazy because I played kind of on my own growing up with my brother and my friends. And 1 year, my mom asked me if I wanted to play in it, and I said, yeah, I'd love to. But I was already about 10 at the time, so when I joined, they dumped me straight into minor leagues for Little League. So I didn't have any of the benefit of working up to that level, just kind of tossed right in there. So I pretty much flailed that year, but we ended up winning the championship. I played for the Athletics, the Rolling Hills Athletics. So that was a key moment, yeah. And I tell people that even though I absolutely sucked at baseball, I ended up loving the sport, so I figure most people who struggle with the game would just forget it, but for some reason I just really took to it, just loved it. I wish I could tell you that I've been an Angels fan my whole life, but it's kind of a crazy story. It's partially true. I grew up in LA, so I followed the Dodgers and the Angels, both great teams at that time. The Dodgers were by far superior, right? Just that whole Garvey, Russell Lopes, and say. But then when Garvey became a free agent, he signed with San Diego. And that's when I realized that I was actually more of a Garvey fan than a Dodgers fan. So I started following the Padres. When he retired, I went up to Berkeley for college and kind of was floating around because since Garvey had retired, I know Dodger fans are going to cringe when I say this, but I started kind of following the Giants and the A's since I was up in the Bay Area. So, and then I played for the A's in Little League, right? Well, the A's won in '89, right? And then when I moved back down after college, I thought I'd just reorient myself with my roots. So I was rooting for Dodgers, Angels. And then so that kind of brought me around full circle again. So on the record, yeah, I've been a fan of every single California team at some point in my life.
Well, at least you've given it like a reasoned response, and there's a kind of I think we can let you away with that. Like they might be rivals with each other, but you've reasoned that pretty well. I think we'll let you
Yeah.
maybe being a fan of all the California teams.
So
At least
I
you're-
actually have a Steve Garvey Padres shirt.
You do?
I wore it when Jason Schwartz came on. He's a Garvey fan, but he was upset because it was not Garvey at the Dodgers. I was like, well, I'm a Padres fan as well. So, you know.
I mean, it's arguable his greatest moment was in a Padres jersey. So in '84.
Yeah, exactly. He's got his number retired, which is the oddest thing that, you know, he played for like 2 or 3 seasons and got his number retired.
Yeah, that was. I hear that. But hey, he helped them get to the World Series. So yeah.
Now, Peter, growing up, do you have any favourite memories or games that stick out to you in your memory?
I think it's probably that '81 campaign. You know, when the Dodgers, it was a strike shortened season. I didn't really pay much attention at the time to what a strike was at that age. I think I must have been 10. But it was just amazing because maybe it was game 6 of that World Series. And I happened to be at church at a youth fellowship that night. And so I couldn't stay home, but they had the game on, you know, at church too. And I just remember when you're that age, or actually any age, and you're following your favorite team and they make it all the way to the World Series and they win, you have that privilege of seeing them step through every single game, and they just keep going and going and knocking down all the other teams until they're the last one standing, right? And I think that's the great thing about baseball. It's such an amazing feeling when they actually win it all. And I just remember going crazy when, you know, it was pretty much in the bag that they're going to win that year. So I'd probably say game 6 in '81. And that was also the year of Fernando Mania. So that was pretty incredible too.
Funny story, actually, that you should mention that. I started watching the Yankees in 2001. And obviously, we had a very high-profile World Series loss that year. The first Yankee title, and the only one since I started watching, was 2009. And they won it in Game 6. And I missed it because I forgot it was on.
Oh, man.
So I didn't actually see Game 6 of that World Series until it was put on YouTube over here, a few years later.
Oh, man. Yeah. You can relive that pleasant memory, right?
Yeah. I woke up and just went online, and I guess it would have been Facebook or whatever, and saw the Yankees had won the World Series in 6, and realised I'd completely forgotten about that.
Oh. Yeah.
So anyway, I'll pass over to Jason. He's going to cover more the art side of things, but yeah, great chatting with you so far, man, and I'll come back in toward the end.
Cool. Thanks, John.
All right. So you mentioned Berkeley. You actually went to Berkeley to become an architecture student.
I did. Yeah.
How did you go from architecture to art?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy back then, going, you know, when you're in high school and you're thinking about college, art was just not on the radar in terms of anything that could, you know, be financially stable for a career. And so I was always pretty good at math, and I knew I was good at art. And so I just thought, well, if I combine those two, I guess the natural result was architecture.
Right.
So I ended up doing that. And you know, probably about halfway through, I really kind of had a burden to want to help inner city kids. And so, you know, the idea of teaching art kind of took root. And so I kind of veered off of that. Even though I did get my degree in architecture, I also grabbed a minor in education on the way out. So actually I taught for a few years high school art before just going into graphic design on my own. So, yep.
That must have been a big step. And before we go into that, I also know, so I used to work for Edinburgh College of Art, and I helped them build their website for a year and do all that there. And that really exposed me to all the art, which then led me to this deep rabbit hole on Instagram where all of a sudden we're meeting all the artists here. And I can appreciate the fact how much it is actually art in the architecture and actually building your stuff there. I'm sure you've seen Stadium for Ants.
Stadium for ants?
Have you not seen his work?
Uh, I'm sorry. I feel bad that I haven't,
No.
but I'm sure I would love it.
So he's doing his master's in architecture, and he builds miniature stadiums that are ant sized and like that there. So so you might appreciate how much time
Oh
he goes
man,
into building those things there.
I need to check it out. Although I would probably want to see it from an ant's perspective. I always love walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so what I was trying to say, I guess, is you get the art behind there. It's not like you sit there on doing CAD drawings like that. You actually have to produce something physical there. So if you look at it, that actually is art. So
It is. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that you're right. Architecture was part of the process, and I would say that it actually did inform a lot of what I do nowadays. Like anything, there was a lot of skill building there. I learned a lot about model making, about how to sit there for 5 hours and just think about concepting, drawing, sketching, building, putting pieces together, swapping them in and out. So I didn't really feel like I wasted my architecture degree as much as it did kind of give me a design background in terms of just heavy prototyping and thinking and how to think about it. So I definitely use it a lot with what I do today. Yeah.
all right.
So
And so how'd you go to Jumbotron Art? So I did a deep dive in your Instagram, and your first person you did, at least posted, was Ozzie Smith. Was there a reason for that?
yeah, on so maybe on my Instagram page it was Ozzie Smith, but this started probably back in 2010. And I had done a lot of baseball art over the years. You probably saw some of the sketches I did when I was little. And then before I got into Jumbotron art, I started doing a series of these larger dot paintings, like the Jackie Robinson behind me, and and then I just thought, I really want to try doing this old Jumbotron style, and so I don't know why I picked him, but I just picked Ron Say.
Mhm.
And so I just thought, hey, let me just try this, see how it works. And so I sent it to my buddy, and he looked at it and he knew exactly who it was. So when he said that, I thought, oh man, I gotta try some other faces here. And so that Ron face portrait, sorry I can't pull it up here right away, but it looks a little bit different from the Jumbotrons that I do today.
Right.
But yeah, that pretty much started the process.
So how do you do that? Do you just sit there and start with a grid and then start, just slowly putting dots in to see how it looks and then change it a little bit here and there? Tell us
Yeah,
about how you start from the beginning and finish one off.
sure. Yeah, I mean, so you're working at the pixel level, and I had to think about this a lot. Like, how do I actually put it together? How do I turn it into a piece that actually looks like dots? So as I thought about it, I thought, okay, it's got to start small, and it is small. It's a really small grid, like 70 by 70 pixels, which is the size of a tiny image on the web. So I'm working deep down at the pixel level, and then I just turn it into two-tone, and I actually take reference pictures and I'll shrink them down, shrink the faces down to that tiny level, and then just posterize it into black and white. And then at that point, I just have to do a lot of guessing, and to just map out the pieces. And sometimes it's just trial and error. I just got to keep putting down dots. And sometimes I'm just shifting them, 1 or 2 pixels up, down, left, right until you get it right. And then I export it into Illustrator. And because the pixels are squares, right, I need to get them into circles. So I just kind of customize my own grid of circles there, where I can enlarge them. And then once I figured out how to isolate the pixels into actual dots, circle dots, and then at that point I could just do whatever I want with them afterwards. So yeah, it was a process.
Yeah, I imagine it was. I imagine you have this 80s style dot matrix printer and you fold it in there.
Right. I had actually thought about the possibility of like, I don't know if you remember like back then when people used to send emails and do like ASCII art.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, just with little old typewriter symbols. I thought about whether I can do that with just periods or something, but yeah, it didn't quite work out that way. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm well versed with that. I remember I went to college in '94 and had those alt boards you can go on, which is all text and stuff on there.
right.
That makes it sound very old. John's like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about there. So. Well, cool.
That's true.
You touched on your portraits. So you start with the portraits first. Do you have any players you picked to you start with there, and then you want to show me off? Obviously, you have the Jackie Robinson.
You mean for just the Jumbotron ones or other portraits?
No, it's mostly you've done the Jumbotron, but I've seen your portraits in there as well. So there was quite a few back in the day where now it's more kind of the Jumbotron ones that are focused.
Yeah, the Jumbotron ones are fun because sometimes they can be quick. They're not always quick. A lot of them are. Some of them, depending on the face that I'm trying to do, especially at the beginning, there were some pieces where I just probably lost a few hairs or added a few gray hairs. Like I think it was like doing Michael Jordan or Tom Seaver, Bob Horner. It's just just when their eyes were just like a single line, but that was just kind of trial and error. I don't know. It's a good question. Why did I get into portraits? Because I used to do more just figure-based art. I love the human figure when they're athletically posed. Just so much energy and dynamic. Shapes and positioning that they can be in. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I've always kind of done used baseball as a theme. I don't know that it has to be baseball. It's just a huge part of the way that I grew up, and so that's fine. It really is. I do like making likeness. How can I make something look like someone? But I also do like the energy that you see in all these baseball poses. So and it might change over time. I don't know what I might do next. So
well, that's actually one thing we're finding with most of the artists, that they've started with one style and then you kind of have to evolve because it gets repetitions and you just want to try something out and see what kind of goes there. So so that's kind of fun to see that you've dipped your toes in other places there, and it's still been awesome. I still really like what you're doing. So
thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying it and other people could enjoy it. And I love to see people experiment too. That's just a natural progression of the way people explore and develop.
So have you been able to actually give any of your players any of your art?
That's a good question.
Because I know a lot of it's 70s and 80s, and I know there's some modern players there, but it's not like you can just go to the game and sit out in right field and hand somebody their stuff in the outfield.
Yeah, I'm not so much. I don't really feel as comfortable engaging people on that level of just trying to get right up to them and hand them something. Because I don't know. Maybe I just feel like they've got enough stuff they're worrying about, and they don't need me to come up to them and bug them. But even like last week or the other week, I wake up and I get this ding on my phone, and I got this text from Brett Tomko. He pitched for the Reds and the Dodgers and
the Mariners.
And the Mariners too? Okay. I forgot. He was like, I pitched for 10 teams or something like that. And he's like, hey, any chance, we'll see a Brett Tomko there, anytime soon? And I said, yeah, maybe. So, and to be honest, he was like the first guy that ever reached out to me and actually typed something in like a message versus just like a like or, follow or something.
In that case, you've got to do it.
What's that?
You've got to come through from in that case.
Yeah, I did. So, and that's fine. I've been doing this for a while. but you know, if they're happy with the portraits that I've done, then you know, I consider that an honor. I did have like I think Jesse Barfield once I think he got a hold of one and he posted it, and I think he was confused because he had said something like, you know, this they had these really old style pictures back in the day, but you know, this one looks pretty good. And and there was another guy who said, "Hey, you know, this is not the old stuff. There's a guy that does these. And he did this recently." And so it's like, "Oh, okay." So I've had a few. I've seen like a few players like Dale Murphy, Ron Kittle, just kind of recognize it.
Mhm.
But then um, last last week or the other week before Brett, um, was it Tom Hume's son?
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Bradley. Yeah, he had contacted me, and he said, "Hey, you know, can you do one of my dad maybe, or do you have one of my dad maybe?" Or he said Tom Hume, and his last name was Hume, so I assumed it was his son. And I don't post all of my portraits because there's like 1,000 of them, right? I don't want to post them all on the
Fair enough.
on
That's a lot
on
to
the
post.
program. Yeah, and so I said, actually, I do have one of them. All right, I already did him. He's in the book. So that was kind of a nice, cool exchange. And then I got to kind of touch base with his dad, and that was really coming full circle with my baseball cards right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I imagine so. So you touched on the fact you had a book. So I know the book's come out. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, I mean, I I mean, I have a copy here. I'll just show you. So Jumbotron art. Okay, that's got the foil on the cover just to kind of represent that. Um, but you know, as I was doing the artwork, I basically just created this Word document of all the players I wanted to do, and I made this huge list, and I think it was hundreds of names, and I'd already started doing a bunch of them, and I just, you know, once I start something, I just want to finish it. And then once I start doing more and more, I'm like, well, I should probably include all of the Hall of Famers, you know, and then, well, you know, actually, I should probably include some umpires too, or some mascots. And it just kept going and going. And so, you know, I'm all the way, I end up with something like 900 portraits.
Oh my
And
gosh, right?
yeah, it's crazy. But it was just kind of a part of my daily rhythm or weekly rhythm. Maybe not necessarily every day, but just the things that you do. Like if you like to run or you're an athlete and you just exercise every day, it's just like for me, it was like I just need to do a little bit of art every day, just part of who I am. And I thought, well, if I don't post these or publish them, then they're just going to stay on my hard drive and nobody will ever really see them. And so that was really the goal was, let me just get this out. And, you know, maybe there'll be some people who actually want to see it and have a copy of it. So that was really the goal.
It's cool. I know. I need to get myself a copy. I gotta.
Yeah.
After this thing's over, I think I'm gonna end up with a bunch of artwork and books all back on here.
Yeah. Okay.
So speaking of the fundraiser, what are you doing for the fundraiser?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, I have some portraits of um, Josh Gibson, um, Satchel Paige that I did. I did some Jumbotron portraits of them because I wanted to include them in the book. And then I started kind of experimenting with this different style, kind of like a minimal vector style. Um, Same with Jackie Robinson, actually. And so I thought, you know, I'd like to kind of put those out there and see if anyone is interested in those. I wasn't really sure at first when Tad contacted me, you know, what part I would play or, you know, what this would be like for me to be part of it. So yeah, I mean, I've always long admired these guys, right? I mean, I think anyone who is a fan of baseball history, you know, at some point you come across those two names, maybe even more, right? The guys from the Negro Leagues. And I even actually just pulled out the book, you know, that I read, Satchel Paige's bio. So I read this one like 25 years ago, and it was just one of the best reads ever, right? Just story after story, and then just the legend of who they are. You hear it, the greatest pitcher of all time, the greatest hitter of all time, right? And we can sit around and argue that that's fine, but their reputation was legendary, basically, right? So I thought it's a good thing if I can help raise support for the museum, then I consider that a good thing. So, yeah.
John, you want to ask your question, and we'll open some cards here?
Yes, certainly. Before I do, we have a couple of people who've commented on the live stream. Greg Garfinkel has left a few comments. First off, love your work, Peter. And says, best thing so far about this project is learning about all different ways that the artists demonstrate their love for the game. Quotes Stuart Adamson, who, of course, he's a big country fan, as we established. Stuart Adamson, feed the people, stay alive. He says, also, in addition, Peter, thanks for putting me in touch with Tad, and then asks, what size is the Robinson behind you, and is there a print available in that size?
Wow, thanks for, yeah. The Robinson is a 3x3. This is original. There is a print on my site for 12 by 12 inch. I don't have it at the full size. It's just, yeah, it's too big and it's too huge for me to print and furnish.
One other comment from Daniel Jacob Horine. Peter, love your work. So you're getting lots of love. And Greg chimes in again with, don't create Angel Hernandez. He'll never see it.
Angel Hernandez, huh?
Yeah. I always like to close out the interview portion with the same couple of questions for each of our guests. And that's, as an American, as an artist, and as a baseball fan, what do the Negro Leagues mean to you? And how did you come to be involved with the fundraiser? I would also add one other aspect to that, which is like, as an Asian American yourself, as a member of like a separate minority group, do you feel that you have a unique perspective or a particular perspective on the Negro Leagues?
Oh man, those are just, I could talk for a long time about that. Yeah. The Negro Leagues, I don't even know where to start. Yeah, I just have so much respect for a group that wasn't allowed to play with, the broader talent, because everyone wants to see the best go against the best. And so, and yet they made the most of their experience, the culture, the community that they created around the sport itself, Negro League games, the fans coming to the games and stuff. You see pictures of them, all, a lot of the African Americans at the games and stuff in the stands. I just have so much respect for that. I love some of the portrayals in the movies of just how crafty they were, just smart players. Just the strategy that they have. So I can't say enough about how much I appreciate, kind of that heritage that some of the great ball players that we see now. Some of the players that I can think of growing up, we would probably, there's just so many great players that were able to play because of that, right? You think of like Rickey Henderson, Tim Raines, Kenny Lofton, Dave Parker, just a whole bunch of great black players got to show their stuff. And even today, Andrew McCutchen, we got Joe Adell coming up. Hopefully he'll flourish with the Angels. Justin Upton, right? But to your question about being Asian American and a minority, how does that kind of affect my views? It's It does because I can't say that my experience is the same as theirs. And, for many respects, African Americans, blacks, they've suffered a lot throughout the years. But I do know what it feels like at times to not feel like I belong. Uh, you know, I've also heard it say that, do I think sometimes there is the feeling like, well, if you're Asian American, you don't really belong here, or do you really belong here? Is this really your home? But then, like, when you think about your cultural, ethnic country, like for me, it would be Taiwan or China. Do I really belong there? Um, I don't really feel like I do completely, right? And the natives there would probably feel the same way, like, oh, you're kind of different, you don't really belong. So you kind of have this feeling of like this tension between two worlds, like you don't really belong in either one, right? Um, but but I grew up in America. I was born and raised in America. Um, I grew up following the exact same pastime as everybody else, cheering for the same players, learning the same stuff. So I'm an American. I love the same things. I have deep respect for everybody. Um, as a Christian, I try to love everybody, and being, I think having gone through some experiences like that has made me more, um, has made me understand racism a little bit better, helped me to really try to treat everyone the same, regardless. Yeah. So,
Great answer,
That's
Peter.
That's
Yeah.
a tremendous answer, Peter. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we open some cards, would you like to plug your social media channels?
I'm, I usually post most of my stuff on Instagram. I'm not a Twitter guy. I'm not too much of a social media guy, other than Instagram. I don't want to have to follow, every second of the day.
Sounds like someone I know.
Yeah. But if you like art, yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Jumbotron Art.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Let's open some cards, Jason.
All right, so I've got 7 packs of cards. You got to choose which one you want to open. So
Oh, sweet.
$89.
Donruss. Any tops? I'm going to ask you right off the top.
I have 87 tops. You want 87 tops, but I'm not eating the gum. Everyone keeps saying eat the gum. I'm
Yeah,
like,
let's do the 87 tops then.
All right, 87 tops. All right, there we go. 87 tops. All right.
All right.
These are my personal favorites. I like these ones, so I'm not gonna complain about this here. And yep, the gum is stuck to the back of the card still.
Nice.
Yeah, I couldn't actually. Nope, I'm not even gonna try. It's good. All right, let's see. So basically, you can comment on any of the players you want. Some of these are great. Some are not. They're like, I don't remember that guy, but if you have anything to say, go.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in
Gary
on you.
Gaetti with the Twins.
Gary Eddie, yeah, he can hit, right?
Yeah,
Third base.
and nice powder
Power.
blues as well.
Uh-huh.
All right, we've gotten him a few times. This is Kevin Mitchell.
Oh, man. You
That's a
remember
cool-
that one, the barehanded catch in
Exactly.
left
Yes.
field?
It's a
Yeah,
really
So-
cool shot, actually.
yeah, I like this one. It's really good. I
Yeah.
think it's actually his rookie card. I think it is
Yeah,
as well.
that's a cool card.
So
He really stormed onto the scene that year. Was it 86? 86 or 87?
because he was the one that scored before Mookie Wilson on an '86 World Series. So
Well, I just remember him hitting all those home runs that year, and it was like, this guy's got crazy power.
yeah, because of course you would have been in the Bay Area, and so when he was playing for San Francisco, yeah, all of a sudden it was like boom, he was hitting home runs.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember. And he played for the Mariners and didn't do so hot.
He was all used up by then. Oh, man.
We got the Chicken Man. We got Wade Boggs.
Oh, yeah.
yes. Legend.
Dogs. He could
So-
hit, man.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. My first dog, no, second dog was named Wade after Wade Boggs.
Nice.
Do you know,
Yes.
do you know, Jason, you told the story about Wade Boggs' cameo on Cheers?
Yes.
I was listening to a podcast last night called Ridiculous History, and they covered that story.
Oh,
How
right.
weird
Yes.
is, how weird is that?
So it's one of the Dodger radio announcers. He's a writer, yeah, and he wrote those episodes of Cheers. So anytime they had like Gary's Old Town Tavern, he was the one that did that, and he was the one that wrote that episode. So I'm assuming you knew all about Cheers, Peter.
I didn't actually watch it all that much,
Right.
but yeah. It was,
So he agreed to go on Cheers because he was having the Margot Adams affair.
yeah.
And she was in LA, so they agreed to fly him to LA to shoot this so she could spend the weekend with her and then go back to playing baseball and spring training.
Oh man.
So that's funny.
Yeah.
That John actually came across that. All right. Oh,
Did you? Okay.
Don Aussie asked. I'm
Don
gonna say,
Aussie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
we've got a big hit here. I'm excited about this one.
Okay.
Mark McGuire.
Oh,
Mark
you
McGuire.
serious?
Yeah.
That would have been crazy to get that card in that year.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a big McGuire fan, and of course Blake or Project 2020 is covering all the Mark McGuire cards here.
That's crazy. You know, I there's a part of me that still wants to say his 70 home runs were legit. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It was a cream.
I
That was fine.
I was a huge Big Mac fan. Yeah.
Same here. Like I remember going through my collection of cards and trying to find all the McGuire USA cards I could, and going, I'm gonna get rich selling these.
Yeah.
Mark McGuire's 70 home run season is legit in the same way that the WrestleMania 17 main event was legitimate.
There
you go, John. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
It made you feel something. The feelings it invokes are real.
All right. Oh my gosh. All right. This is a good one. We got Floyd Bannister for the White Sox.
He had a cool name. I always thought he had a cool name.
But you're gonna like this. This is gonna bring the Bay Area vibes. You want to guess who it might be?
Matt Williams?
No, close. Will Clark.
Will Clark. Oh man.
Will the Thrill. So we got McGuire and a Clark there, and the same.
Dude, that's crazy. What a deck.
This is we need a Bonds, and we need a Maddox, and we need a Canseco, and we'll hit them all.
And you got Boggs and Mitchell.
Okay.
Man.
Checklist card.
Okay.
All right.
Darn it.
Ken Howell? I don't remember him.
Kenny Howell, yeah. Was he a reliever? For the Dodgers.
Yes. Yeah, definitely a reliever. He pitched 62 games, so that's definitely
Okay.
it.
All right.
You got Jody Davis with the Cubs.
Oh yeah, he was he was a scary power hitter too. He could sneak up on you in that 84 series.
Gosh, yeah, he hit 83. He hit 24 home runs. That's not bad
Yeah.
for a catcher.
Yeah. I was always nervous when he came up to the plate.
Kelly Gruber for the Blue Jays. This is a pretty good player.
Yeah.
He was solid. So until he's had some problems lately. But yeah, I like Kelly Gruber.
I always thought he was a super athletic type. Right.
Yeah. Oh, Bob Tewksbury.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Got him.
For him.
The name sticks out. So
Did he?
He was
play-
a pretty good pitcher.
is
I
that
thought he
because he
played
pitched
for
for
the
the Yankees?
He was one of the bright spots, I believe, of a very dark time for the Bombers. As far as, in my knowledge, that's my knowledge, which is not great for that period of time, but I've heard his name a few times.
Wow.
John Shelby for the Orioles.
Oh yeah, we remember him on the Dodgers.
Right. Okay. Yes, 88 for the Dodgers. Yeah, of course.
That 88 team.
Teddy Higuera for the Brewers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember adding in Teddy in my in the book.
Oh, is he in the book? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say we'll have to see who's actually in the book. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mariano Duncan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There we go.
I remember playing a video game. I I think it's like a out of the park baseball, like a management simulator type thing. And I saw Mariano Duncan's name on the Yankees, and I was like, is that a mistake? Is that not? Is it not Rivera? But it's a different guy. I was like, who's Mariano Duncan? It's meant to be like Rivera, but he was like I think a second baseman.
Yeah,
Mariano
he was shortstop.
Yeah, like a middle infield guy.
Cool. All right, got two more. Mike Felder with the Blue Jays, or not the Blue Jays, the Brewers.
Okay, I don't remember him too well.
I think his nickname was Tiny. So Mike Kenny Felder. He played for the Mariners. He was one of the various left fielders that played next to Ken Griffey Jr. You know.
Oh man, one of many, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think. Oh man, I read somewhere. I think there was like 167 different left fielders that played with Ken Griffey Jr.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean,
God.
like Randy Johnson counted because Randy Johnson put in the out from left field one of those times there where they swapped pitchers in there. So yeah, it was 167 different players with a left fielder with Ken Griffey Jr. This shows you how much he wasted his early years.
Randy Johnson played left field with him.
Yeah, so what they did one of those things where he came to face like a left-handed batter, struck him out, stuck him in left field, and brought in a reliever. That guy got that guy out, and then put Randy Johnson back on the mound again.
That's amazing.
How did I not hear that? That is amazing.
That's not something you would see these days, really, is it?
No, I don't think well, the 3 batter minimum, you definitely not going to see that now.
Yeah, with everything being so specialised, it's just not. See, a lot of the magic's just been ripped out of the game, but that's a story for another time. Please continue.
All right,
That's pretty awesome.
We'll call it a night. We got Jack Clark with the Cardinals.
Oh man, yeah, I kind of like that pose, even though his helmet's off. But yeah, he was.
I mean, the 87 tops is one of my favorites there. So yeah, this is there's some good action shots in this pack. So
man, that is quite a pack there.
We got a loaded one. So Peter, it's been brilliant. Big fan of your work. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time out of the day. I really appreciate it, and best of luck with the fundraiser.
Thank you guys so much for having me, Jason, John. I really appreciate it. I also want to just say thank you. I didn't get a chance to say it, but thanks, Greg and Daniel, for commenting earlier. I did hear your name, so thank you for that. I had a blast, guys. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, Peter. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll hopefully catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you at Angel Stadium with the rest of the guys, and we'll catch a game together.
Sounds good. Let me know when you're in town.
We'll do, man. Take it easy.
Okay. Take care, guys.